back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Before we get started with the Dallas Cowboys episode, yeah, me talking about the Cowboys again. Isn't that something? You know what to do. Go ahead and click that subscribe, like, and notification bell so you can get notified when new episodes come out, and you're always with us when we drop new content. All right. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, you can find us pretty much anywhere you get your audio podcast downloads. Just type in the Format Podcast and we should come up. If you like the content or you disagree with something, that's cool too. Catch me on social media or go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. Also, if you can, please go ahead and give us that 5-star review if your podcast platform allows it. And so let's go ahead and get right to it. All right. So the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, he's had it again. He just can't help himself. Now, where am I going with this? Okay, so Jerry Jones, before last season or 2 years ago. Anyway, Jerry Jones gave Dak at the time the richest NFL contract, richest quarterback contract, really paid him. Now, what's interesting about that is, of course, I think he franchised him twice. He put the franchise tag on Dak Prescott either once or twice before he paid him. Dak had been working to get a new deal. Jerry basically was saying, we don't believe in you, franchised him, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, he caves. He gives Dak the deal that Dak wants. I mean, to the penny, to the letter, every stipulation. Jerry gets nothing. So he held out on paying Dak. Why? No one knows. But, you know, as I've said ad nauseum, I wouldn't have paid Dak because I don't believe Dak is an elite quarterback. I've said it time and time again. This year we're going to find out. But I don't believe he's an elite quarterback. And as such, I don't care about the whole, this is where the market is. If you're not elite, I'm not going to pay you like an elite player. That's just how I stand on things. But end of the day, Jerry Jones paid him. Now, we have some interesting audio going into this season regarding Jerry Jones. He didn't say Dak's name specifically, but we know who he's talking about. Go ahead, take a listen, check that out.
Facts are there's no free lunch. Every dollar you spend on a player is a dollar you can spend someplace else. If you were in college, the dollars are the equivalent of scholarships, and those dollars get you players. You can give it all to one player, and when you do, you don't have available to go to the other player. The more you pay the quarterback, the teams that pay the big ticket on the quarterback, they have to sacrifice other places.
Okay, so what do we have here? Something I am completely lost on. Jerry Jones obviously here is making commentary as to the fact that Dak's contract is the reason why they can't pay other players and they had to cut guys. Now we know the NFL has a very hard salary cap. There's no luxury tax. It's not like the NBA where you can go over but you get penalized and pay, because if that was the situation, we have some owners who probably would do it. Your Robert Kraft, your Jerry Jones, etc. The Walton guy, who is the new owner of the Denver Broncos, you know, some of the richer owners, Tepper down in Carolina, the richer guys who own these franchises, they have the money. They probably would just go into the luxury tax for an opportunity to win. Stan Kroenke at the Rams somehow has managed to manipulate this cap beautifully, and it's led him to continued success and obviously a championship at the end of last season. But I digress. I find it so interesting that Jerry Jones would now be making commentary on the fact that he sees Dak's contract as prohibitive for a couple of reasons. Number one, Jerry, you could have paid him earlier and paid him less, where it would be less of a hit on your current salary cap, right? Now he'd be further along in the deal and maybe he'd be closer to asking for a new deal, but you could have paid him and it would be less prohibitive now on this year's cap. So who knows how that would have worked out. Second of all, and I've said this time and time again, I'm going to keep beating that drum. You didn't have to pay him. You didn't have to do it, but you did it. And you gave him everything he wanted and you got nothing. You didn't have to pay him. I wouldn't have. So I don't know why it is you went through all that rigmarole, paid him, gave him everything he wanted, got nothing. And now you're going to go on wax and complain about the fact that when you have to pay one player a certain amount of money, it hurts you along the way with the rest of the team. That was stupid. Then you also paid Zeke early, and we've basically seen diminishing returns on that investment. So my question to you is, Jerry, you are known for caving in and paying guys what they may not necessarily deserve, or paying guys money that ends up hurting you against the salary cap. So why pay and then go complain? You could have handled Dak's situation easily, but you didn't want to do it. You didn't want to alienate whether it's him or the fan base, because I guarantee you he would not have gotten the money you gave him on the open market, and he would have come back hat in hand, tail between legs, whatever idiom you want to use, and you would have been able to pay him less. That's what would have happened. But you went ahead and you caved. So you can't pay the guy the money, and now you sit back and complain. Now, on another note, you're an owner. You have access to other owners. You can talk to them. Maybe some of them might tell you, maybe some of them might not. But other guys who are smart with the cap and figure out what they're doing to manipulate it. There are ways that you can manipulate the cap to make the salary hits easier and put you in a position where you can recoup some of that money so that you can spend it on other players. You can do that. We see how the Rams are doing it, and they won them a championship. Why can't you do that, Jerry? Right? We hear it can be done, plain and simple. We saw Cleveland Browns go ahead and hand over $230 million fully guaranteed to Deshaun Watson. Now, would I have done that? No, I wouldn't have done that. However, we've seen that it can be done. And the reason all the other owners were upset with the owner of the Browns is why. Haslam is why. Because it shows that it can be done. And now that is setting, well, I'm not going to say it set the blueprint, because we haven't seen any other owner go ahead and do that yet. And obviously Lamar wants that fully guaranteed deal in Baltimore, and as it seems right now, he's not getting it, but that's a different story. But at the end of the day, other players are going to start asking for these fully guaranteed deals. So we've seen that it can be done, right? I think it was Nelson Mandela who once said, everything is impossible until it has been done, right? Meaning we can say something's impossible, but eventually someone's going to make it possible. I'm sure at some point, the thought of running 100 meters in less than 10 seconds was impossible. At some point, the thought of running 100 meters in less than 9.8 seconds was impossible. At some point, the thought of running 100 meters in less than 9.6 seconds was impossible. Usain Bolt did it. Somebody's going to run it in less than 9.5. That's just the nature of things. Things are often deemed impossible. It was, I'm sure, impossible, the thought of ever having man walk on the moon, but it was done. Okay? So we say that to say, Jerry, you're complaining about the amount of money that you had to pay Dak and how it affects you, but you can work on that and you can get around it. That's up to you. But at the end of the day, you were the one who was stupid. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or insultive, but that was a very stupid move. You shouldn't have paid him that money, and now you're complaining about it. So one, if you were going to pay him, and it seems like you were going to pay him all along because you've been raving about him since he was a rookie, you should have paid him early, right? But if you weren't going to pay him early, the fact that you went ahead and gave him everything he wanted makes no sense. If you'd have played hardball, he would have taken less. But hey, that's on you. Now you have to deal with it. All right. So those are my thoughts. If you disagree or agree, that's fine. Go ahead, leave your comment in the comment section. Look forward to hearing what you think. And I'm out. Peace.